and his daughters as well. So, God is not discriminatory as far as on who he chooses to give his spirit to. Right. Now, who he calls to, express, his word, in certain forms as far as, being able to preach and teach his word, varies. It's different. However, I went, through that phase of, well, yes, I know I'm called to ministry. I know I'm called to do something, right. But is it necessarily preaching in a pulpit? Is that, what I'm supposed to do? And I feel like it was a combination of things. I did pray a lot. I did have dreams about things where I would be on platforms. I couldn't see anyone in the audience, but I would see big, wide audiences. I couldn't see anyone in the seat. I mean, they would basically be empty seats, but I would see that I would be preaching upon platforms someday. Wow. And I would, talk to godly wise counsel about that, and say, well, what does that mean? And right. I would continue to, read about that. So, and also too, I journal, and I advise other people to journal as well, because we just had a vision party, a couple of weeks ago. Right. So, Habakkuk said, write the vision and make it plain, so that, the people may run with it. So run is, a verb, meaning an action. So you got to write it so that you can take action on it. And then secondly, you also need to write it so that you don't forget it either. I wrote it so that I would not forget it. And over time, life happens, you move on from things, and then you come back. And so you come back and you look at things again, and things kind of come full circle, and you realize that, okay, well, this is what I was meant to do. So what led me to, doing that first sermon, because the title of my initial sermon was, it's time to get off the porch. Woo! So I preached from the passage in John about the impotent man at the pool of Bethesda. How, he talked about how, look, every time I try to get to the pool, there's always somebody that comes before me, Wow. And, I feel like, that has kind of, been like a secret story of mine, all my life. How, that's kind of been my challenge, or my, overcoming, thing, that's what I overcome with myself all the time of, for whatever reason, I always feel like, I'm always overcoming these obstacles for, maybe feeling like, what I may be at a disadvantage for, maybe, because of my race, maybe because of the fact that I'm a woman, maybe because of the fact, because I'm young, right. I am a HR professional. So I graduated with a bachelor's degree in HR. My first job out of college was as an HR manager. Wow. So you're talking about someone, so how old was I at the time? Like 22, 23. Young. So I'm a 23-year-old as an HR manager. So, and in a company that, a home improvement company, Lowe's. And I had never worked for them before, so I didn't even have any previous experience for them as a cashier. I just came in off the street as a HR manager. So, I had a lot of people that, I'm sure, now that I look back now, were jealous and resentful because of the fact that, I'm this young person that they've put in as my HR manager. So how can she come in and tell me what to do? And, she can't even tell me what a 2x4 is, but they feel like she's someone that can, interpret policy and procedure and can, basically influence a decision on whether or not I should be terminated. Wow. So, it was a lot of weight at the time, and, trying to, get higher level positions and things of that nature, reaching out to people that I thought I could confide in, that would, tell me one thing, it's the song, Backstabbers, smile in your face, all the while trying to take your place. So they would tell me one thing, and at the same time, they were, going for the same role, doing things to advance themselves, and make themselves appear in a better light. So, though all of those situations in my life and all of those struggles and trials led me to that day to preach that sermon. And they still, lead me through life on this day.
Wow. And I think you did a fantastic job of describing and detailing all the different things that you've dealt with and you deal with because, how you doing? Is this Emily's mom?
Yes, it is.
Good
Hello.
morning. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in today.
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you all?
Oh, pretty good. We just we're in the process of Emily was just sharing with us the moments that led up into her initial sermon.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and experiences working as an HR manager and just dealing with different situations and people.
Okay.
Yeah. So my next question would be, and I think you kind of outlined some of the challenges that you face in your professional life. And so what are some challenges that you face as a woman in ministry? What are some challenges?
So I believe probably the biggest challenge that just sums everything up is really a lack of understanding. And then probably a subtopic under that would be the complications of biblical perspective mixed with church tradition.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So am I doing this because it's based on biblical principles that can be identified in the Bible, or am I doing this because this is just simply because this is what I have been taught, because this is what how I've been raised. This is something cultural.
Right.
This is what we've done in our church all the time. It's more so religion.
Right.
Really. So and it's very easy to blur that line and to merge both of those together in the church, but sometimes we have to separate those two. I think back to a moment where I had a very good friend of mine before I had even really talked to anyone about being called into the ministry of preaching. A very good college friend of mine had told me about an experience of where, you know how it goes, how, if the pastor is going to be away from church for a particular Sunday, they may or may not tell the congregation they're going to be out of town.
Right. Familiar with it.
Yeah, we all know why. Because, if the word gets out too soon.
Yeah, people ain't coming.
Yeah, exactly. So this particular Sunday, for her, and it wasn't at a church that we went to together, she was not aware that her pastor was not going to be preaching that Sunday. So she got to church, realized that it was a female preacher that would be bringing the message. And when that female preacher got up, she left.
Wow.
Because, that was really surprising to me, because this was a female telling me that she was unwilling to hear a word from a female preacher. So that really opened my eyes, because to me, I could imagine, I wouldn't be surprised if I heard that from a male counterpart. Right. But to hear that from a female, I was like, wow. So this doesn't just exist with males. Sometimes the enemy is, someone that you think is in your own corner. So, I believe it's a lack of understanding that just based on what we've just seen traditionally men in the pulpit. But if you really study the Bible for yourself, there's many examples of women in ministry that supported Paul, that supported Jesus, and that were just as influential.
Right. Okay, continue.
That's pretty much all I had to say.
Right. So, wow, that was deep. I mean, I feel like we need to bring you back on the podcast because, you educating and schooling them, and some people have an issue with that because it's like they don't want to get beyond praise and worship and all the sensationalism of religion and church. But it's like these are things that people struggle with and deal with that I believe that we have to talk about in order to empower people and also to help people get right, because people can't get right if they can't identify what the problems is that they're dealing with.
Right. Well, I'm very thankful and appreciative. Of course, the church that I attend is very embracing of female preachers. Our pastor is as well. And, that's not a challenge, that I have. I know many female preachers do go through that.
Right. So. Right. Yeah, I recognize. I mean, I've been invited to preach at your church, and your pastor is very down to earth and encouraging and supportive, and that's always a blessing. So we want to give a quick shout out to Pastor Carlos Jordan and a round of applause to you, sir, for all the work that you do preparing these young ministers, men and women, to serve in ministry.
I gotta give credit too. I gotta give credit to my home pastor, Pastor Douglas E. Jones, and First Lady Gladys Jones as well, because I have to say that was the first model and example of what a relationship should be between a pastor and wife. And although she does not call herself a minister, she does. She is also on the platform and does also teach the word. She's actually she's either in the midst or up on the cusp of completing certifications of being certified under the National Baptist Convention for Christian education as well. And he's also embraced female preachers as well. So, I've always known, that it was something that they embraced as well. So I've been taught, and known that, it was okay to be a female preacher. So that was never something that I had an issue with or that I had to overcome.
Right.
I think, for most people, the struggle or the battle is always within.
Right.
Always wondering, well, am I good enough to do this? Because I always look at, ministry and anything I get into, I always look at it as a commitment and a lifetime commitment is all. Because if God called me to do it, He's going to be able to lead me through it. So I take it very seriously.
That's a word. Who's your favorite woman in the Bible?
I thought about a lot of different women, but I have to go with Priscilla.
Okay.
And you know why?
Okay.
Because there's not a book in the Bible named after her.
Right.
However, I like the personality and the spirit of Priscilla. Number one, she wasn't one that was boisterous about what she did. She supported Paul in his ministry.
Right.
And she was a partner with her husband, Aquila, as well. So, when they were able to mentor and train Apollos in the ministry, they pulled him to the side and let him know, what he was doing wrong. And they corrected him. They didn't shame him in public or do anything like that. And you see that a lot of times in ministry where, it seems like there's more of a competition of, while I'm chastising you for what you did wrong, let me show other people how smart I am in the process about it as well. So, and that is what I want to do, as well. It's not about me trying to let other people know what I know.
Right.
But, I can hear you, talking in a public or open conversation, and I can know, with everything in me, that you are just as crazy as, or saying stuff as crazy as I don't know
just
what.
Crazy.
But, the God, day by day, is helping me. He is killing that flesh within me.
Exactly.
Not to say anything. And I have said in my prayers daily, God, you're going to have to help me so much to the point that when I get in those situations, I can't know that, you're helping me in those situations. You're going to have to reveal to me after that. Yep, that was in that situation. Did you see what that was?
Right.
Yep, I helped you in that.
Wow.
And I look back and I'd be like, dang, yeah, You stopped me on that one, God.
Yeah.
You stopped me.
Thank you, God.
Yes, thank you, God.
Thank you, Lord. But,
Thank
but that's
you.
that, and I appreciate your honesty and just being candid, because
Right.
that's what we need. We need people like you who are strong leaders and knowledgeable and have a heart for people.